In early 2025, a wave of executive orders reshaped the policy landscape, immediately impacting local nonprofit organizations and the communities they serve. Budget freezes, canceled contracts, and legal uncertainty touched nonprofits of every type. What changed in Washington was felt immediately in San Diego. Programs were cut, communities were confused, staff was stretched thin. The Nonprofit Institute at the University of San Diego responded by launching a rapid response tool, a biweekly pulse survey of local nonprofits. For 16 weeks, it asked one timely question every 2 weeks to track the cascading effect of new federal policy on our local nonprofit ecosystem. This is the story of that pulse.
Nonprofits are essential. They're essential to our quality of life here in San Diego. They're essential, they matter, and we need to care about them. Since the inception of the Nonprofit Institute, we've served a real purpose in terms of being able to give real-time data about nonprofits and how they're doing in terms of their impact, but also in terms of their financial health and their ability to deliver on their missions. When we first started to see rapid executive orders emerge that had sweeping impact across the nonprofit sector for a variety of reasons, we knew that we needed to get information quickly and in real time. So we issued a larger impact survey where we heard from 400 nonprofit leaders about what was going on in their organizations. We learned about who was engaging in cutting programs, laying people off, how their staff were doing, etc. And we were able to turn that data around quickly in terms of being able to share that information with a broader audience of media, foundations, philanthropy leaders, people that really care about the sector and need to know collectively and really quickly what's happening. From that, we knew that things were going to continue to evolve, and they have. And so we knew a one point in time survey wasn't going to exactly do the trick. So we were ambitious, and we partnered with a subset of that original survey sample to serve as a panel to answer a biweekly question over a period of 16 weeks. And we called it the Pulse Survey. And so every other week, nonprofit leaders could weigh in and tell us what was on their mind about what maybe they were encountering that was different than perhaps the week or the month before that.
The opening survey asked, have recent federal actions led to changes to your programs or services? Nearly half of organizations reported changes in service delivery. For many, this meant reduced hours, potential loss of access to services for clients due to stricter eligibility requirements, or difficult decisions about scale. Weeks later, the Pulse asked how nonprofits were collaborating. The responses showed that nearly 2/3 of respondents were already engaged in collaboration as a response to the federal policy changes. 1/3 wanted to collaborate but lacked the bandwidth or knowledge to do so. In response, nonprofits shared grant writers, merged outreach, and built joint advocacy strategies. Coordination emerged as a strength and a civic responsibility. Leaders were asked, what do you need most? The answers reflected both challenge and strategic clarity. Leaders identified their top need was to be supported on fund development, coalition building, staff well-being, messaging, and governance. Local philanthropic institutions stepped in. New initiatives were seeded, but deeper structural questions remained about sustainability, staffing, and sector alignment. When asked about anticipated revenue, we knew that most respondents were expecting a decrease from all funding sources, including state and local government, individual donors, and foundations. Funding expectations showed stress. 1/3 of respondents cited volatility and uncertainty. Board priorities shifted in tandem. Fundraising and strategic planning moved to the forefront. So did attention to legal risk, especially around diversity, equity, and inclusion-related grant structures and public posturing. But this wasn't a retreat. It was a recalibration towards long-term visibility and mission integrity. This cycle, we asked about the impact of these federal changes on clients. We observed that 81% of organizations reported increased fear and confusion amongst their clients. Nearly half also reported an increased demand for basic needs and services. San Diego's most vulnerable populations were navigating rapid policy shifts, often without clear communication. Nonprofits became guides by translating systems and offering stability. By June, the sector's internal costs were clear. 91% of respondents cited emotional fatigue. Staff morale had declined, yet many leaders also shared a renewed resolve to push forward, anchored by purpose, supported by new community-led initiatives, and seeking relief where possible. Even in exhaustion, commitment endured. In the final cycle, the Pulse asked about the strengths and opportunities nonprofits were drawing on to sustain momentum. Out of constraint, cohesion. Out of pressure, clarity.